Hey good people, Batavia here. We are in my grow room and we're going to do a grow room tour. See you in a few. Okie doke, so quick housekeeping items. First, thank yous to those who like, watch, subscribe, and comment and share Be Better Garden. We appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the button below and hit that notification bell so you'll be alerted each time I share more #GardenJoy. Second item, this is a room that I set up this year, my first year starting seedlings inside. But I do want to point out, while there are people that have much more elaborate setups, there are so many gardeners that start seeds indoors with minimal equipment, because it's absolutely possible. Everything from lights in their dining room to kitchen windows and such. So I say that to say you don't have to do all of this to start growing food. But I do want to share what I have done. So let's dig in. Okie doke. So I hope I get this lighting right. I know it's a little bit dim in here because all of the lights are going to my plants. But we're going to break this down into two halves. First half will be quickly what the room is, the structure of the room is, and the equipment that I'm using. And then we'll actually take a look at what I'm growing. So the room I used as previously a storage area. It is 10 by 4.5 feet. So that is just under 50 square feet. So pretty small. I have the two shelving units you see, one here and then one behind me. And they are both 6 feet tall. The shelves come out, as far as the depth, they come out 18 inches, and then the width of the shelves is 4 feet, which works out really well because the lights, and it seems like what's common, are either 2-footers or 4-footers. So the cylinders here, and maybe you can get a better look of them here, these are 4 feet, and as well as the light bulbs. I did splurge and use LED lights, or as I call them in the stores, LED lights, or whatever. So I have these. The cylinders came with the chains here, which was convenient. And make sure that you actually get, if you're in the market for these, plugged lights. I got direct wired originally and got home and felt great because I got all of the things on my list and then realized that they needed to be wired into the walls and the ceilings, and that's not my jam. So I returned those and then found these at Menards. And then the lights, because I was looking for 5,000 and above for a Kelvin rating and 2,000 and above for a lumens rating, and that's just based on some research that I had done. I had a hard time finding them at a lot of the big box stores and some of the super centers, but I did look out, and Lowe's had them as like a value pack where you were able to buy like a pack of 10, I guess a contractor's pack. So I was able to find those at a couple of the Lowe's that I went to. So they should be readily available if you're interested in kind of taking this step. And then the last thing I have for equipment is down here at the bottom. I have a timer for this shelf and a timer for the shelf behind me. And they are set to come on at 6 a.m., shut off at 10 p.m. So that's 16 hours of light for the plants. And then I let them sleep for about 8 hours. They're actually getting more sleep than I am, but that's another story. Okay, so that is the setup. I do have over here in the corner a small deep freezer, but that's not necessarily directly related. But once I get to preserving some of this stuff, we'll be using that much more often. So I'm going to now share what I'm growing. Alrighty, so shelf 1. We won't go through every single plant, but I do want to highlight a couple of things. So the oldest plants were started on 315. So over here is basically my eggplant, like wall of fame. They've been kicking butt. They've already been potted up and they look really good. Some yellow leaves, but overall they look pretty healthy. There's a little bit of basil over there in that corner. This is some thyme that I started at 2 different times. Oh no, I can't help myself. There's more eggplant back there, more basil. This is parsley that I started, I think in April April the 2nd. And it looks really good. I started more parsley back here and it doesn't look as healthy. but all in all, you know, it's still going to serve the purpose once I get it planted outside. Candy stevia. I've never grown it before, but it's a natural sweetener and it looks so good. It's done really well. I have a few different plants here for that. These are mostly herbs. I think that's Marigin back there. This is one of my California Wonder peppers. It looks really good as well. These are just over 2 months old and have been potted up. Let's see, there's more mint back there in the corner. This is more basil that was started a bit later and it looks really good as well. And there's an eggplant that's snuck back there. Second shelf, a bunch of tomatoes. Most of these, and it's like 3 different containers of these, but I potted these up yesterday, or basically like early this morning. And they were started on 4/11, so they're just, what, 5 weeks old. I have Romas, I have sweet cherry, which is a cherry tomato. I have one more cherry tomato that's a patio tomato. And then I have some green zebras that are back there. Tomatillos, which I'm looking forward to. I actually only planted or started a few of those. So I'm a little bit nervous. I hope the couple that I really need make it. I also have beefsteak tomatoes, which are super small so far. And then I have a brandywine. So the thing I've noticed about starting tomato plants, first time I've done it, well, I've grown them, I've always bought transplants. The smaller the tomato, the larger the plant is at this stage, which makes sense, right? So I am going to definitely start my tomato plants as a general rule earlier next year. There's a few herbs back here, rosemary, which is uber slow, as I've learned. This is more, I think this is spearmint, and this is peppermint. These dahlias, which are one of my favorite plants, just didn't germinate well, so I'll have to pony it up and maybe sow more seeds for those. There are more tomatoes back there. Let's get down to the last shelf on this shelving unit. Alrighty, so out front we have zinnias, which are doing great. They were started on 4/11 as well. And then behind them I have a bunch of my hot peppers. So I'm doing like cayenne peppers, poblano peppers, which aren't super hot, but jalapeno peppers. I don't think I did any, I'm not doing any ghost peppers or anything like that this year. And then I have more bell peppers over there, different varieties. And I potted these up some weeks back. So everything on this shelf looks pretty good, except, so this is my womp, womp, womp. So I'm going to toss this stuff, but I did want to keep it until I did this video because everything isn't like green and glorious. These are at least one batch of the kale and the cabbage and the collards that I've killed. I've tried to sow these seeds like over and over again. I have a lessons learned where I knew originally I was overwatering, but even after making the adjustments, so I thought, I'm still not able to get these to go really past to get to the point of their true leaves. So I have one more shot that I've given, and I'll show you on the other shelf, and the jury's still out. Just a quick side note, that's the timer. I think I have 2 different types of timers. That's one of the timers that I'm using. Alrighty, so for this shelf, oh, there's a zucchini plant that I must have taken out at some point. There's some more flowers. These are like dahlias and sunflowers, which those didn't germinate well either. I've also read that they like to be direct sowed. Back there, more flowers. There's some zucchini plants back there as well, and a bit of basil. Over here, I have okra. So this is the traditional kind of green okra. I don't remember the exact name of it. This is a red or a burgundy okra, which I'm excited about. These are more peppers. I think these are lemon drops. No, cayenne peppers. Oh, these are cayenne peppers that I saved the seeds from last year. So I just wanted to see the difference in that plant compared to one that I started with kind of brand new seeds. More tomato plants back there. So that's a good example of the cherry tomato that is kind of just a bit larger and further along than some of the other tomato plants that I started. Let's see. That's the first shelf for this shelving unit. So here are more tomatoes, and I'm not going to grow all these tomatoes. I definitely wanted to just get my hands and my feet wet when it comes to starting seeds. I plan on giving a bunch away. So if you're in my area in these coming weeks, you know, once I get my plants in the ground, I'll be sharing what I have. These are some older pepper plants. These are, again, more bell peppers, I think. More California Wonder. They're about 2 months old. These are snapdragons, I think, flowers. This is more of a sweet snack pepper. They probably should be potted up. So this is squash, like a yellow squash, summer squash, and then this is zucchini. And they don't look great. Ben, my buddy from the Backyard Gardens podcast, we've talked about how zucchini really prefers to be direct sowed, but I don't know. I mean, I've always bought them as transplants, so I thought they'd be fine. But yeah, they're on the struggle bus. So we'll see. Oh, another example of my makeshift shelving here. Back there is some oregano and then more rosemary, which I'll definitely start both of those much earlier next year. They were started on March the 15th as well. So let's see. Let's get down to the next shelf. Alrighty, so last two shelves. Marigolds. So I started 2 trays of marigolds, and I'll probably start more. You can see a couple are actually starting to flower. The trays have like 3 or 4 different varieties of marigolds, which, as many of you know, are really great for the garden. I really like the flower as well. Over here, more peppers. Peppers have by far, I guess eggplants have been the easiest thing to grow so far indoors. And then peppers have just really been kind of, you know, really low maintenance. So they've been super easy to grow as well. These are probably, just based on the size, more kind of hot peppers. The smaller ones are the hot peppers, only because I started those a bit later than I did most of the bell peppers. So, oh, lemon balm. So this is an example of, I'm not sure if it hasn't germinated yet. I mean, it's a month old, so my guess is it would have germinated. It's probably, which I have found, the case that I've labeled it, watered it, but never actually dropped the seed. So we'll see. I'm just at this point gonna leave it here and see if anything ever grows. So that is this shelf. And the very last shelf, more marigolds, which we won't get into. This is one of my super giant eggplants back here. But these are cucumbers, different varieties. And there's, while the light isn't great in here, there's definitely some yellowing. They're not loving this space, but they really like it warm. So I haven't, it's not been warm enough here for my liking to put them out. But they are growing. And I think once I get them outdoors, they'll probably take off. It's still like, we're still getting like high 40s. 40-degree Fahrenheit at night. I guess that's the low temperature, I should say. So we haven't really warmed up so much yet. Okie doke. So that is the grow room. I'm just super pleased with how everything has turned out. Truth moment, I have been like really nervous about starting seeds indoors. Like, it's been 3 or 4 years where I've wanted to do it, and I finally took the leap this year, and I'm so pleased with it. It's kind of funny, the things that you think are going to be difficult sometimes just aren't. And while this isn't uber easy, these things aren't just growing themselves, it is nowhere near as difficult as I thought it would be. I still have a couple of hurdles to get through, you know, like hardening them off when I take them outside, but I'm very optimistic about this being a really big garden year for me. So I appreciate y'all watching. If you want to hear more from me throughout the week, check me out on Instagram at Be Better Garden, also on Facebook at Be Better Garden, and then check Ben and I out. We are talking all things gardening on the Backyard Gardens podcast. You can check us out there on any place you listen to podcasts. Just search for the Backyard Gardens podcast. We appreciate the support and hope you all are doing well. Take care.